Friends, Cowboy Jobu here with the Jobu Sports Report, and thank you guys for watching, following, and commenting on the Jobu Sports Report. And if you haven't liked it already and subscribed, what the hell are you waiting for? Click on the picture of me and Sean Lee over there, so that way you can get all your news and Dallas Cowboy fix right here. Well, there's so much happening with the Dallas Cowboys right now. We're going to check in with that jackass. I'm sorry. that show, Stephen A. Smith, on First Take, and see what they have to say about Tony Romo. Peter King is reporting that Tony Romo may go to Kansas City. Say what? Kansas City and be a Chief? Let's go to the tape.
A source told our Ed Werder that Tony Romo expects to be released, not traded, and believes he can start for 2 to 3 more seasons despite turning 37 in April, and of course, his well-documented injury history. Now, according to Peter King of Monday Morning Quarterback, the Texans and Chiefs make the most sense as a possible post-Dallas destination for Romo. Let's focus on the Chiefs and Alex Smith versus Romo right now. So Romo is 4 years older than Smith, has played in 9 more games, has a higher career passer rating, has thrown for over 6,000 more yards, thrown 91 more touchdowns, but has only 1 more career win. Look who's here, Will Kane. You've watched a couple Cowboys games in your day, huh?
1 or 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stephen A., I want to start with you, though. Are the Chiefs the best fit for Tony Romo? Because it feels like this one came out of left field.
I do not believe that. And the reason I don't believe that, believe it or not, I'm going to be kind today. It's not because of Tony Romo. It's because of the Kansas City Chiefs. First of all, up until Andy Reid arrived, you literally had a couple of years where a wide receiver didn't even catch a touchdown for them.
Yeah.
Jeremy Maclin comes on board. They obviously do a better job after acquiring him from Philadelphia. Travis Kelce can play the game of football as well. It's cold in Kansas City. Y'all know how I feel about Missouri in the cold weather, particularly with a guy as fragile as Tony Romo, who I don't expect to stay healthy for an entire season anyway. But I also think that when you look at the personnel in place, with everything that I've said, that puts too much of an onus on Tony Romo. And because of that, I think it's an untenable situation for him. I don't think that's ideal for him. I think the ideal place for him to go, or the ideal situation for him to go to, is a team with requisite weapons, a team like Denver, who has a good enough running game, but have a bevy of wideouts to throw the football to. And you have a decent passing attack, and more importantly, a defense that you can rely upon. Kansas City has the defense, but they don't necessarily have the offense. That would be problematic. Denver has both, in my opinion, with the right quarterback. I think that would be a better situation for Tony Romo.
First of all, remember when everyone was saying, Will, you were one of those people that are going to get a first-round pick for Tony Romo, and I tried to sit here and explain due to his contract, contract and his health.
You cannot find the tape of me seeing first-round.
Look for that tape, and if it's not there, make it up, doctor. The point is that everyone I heard of what you're going to get for Tony Romo, I explained. It's not that he's not excellent. We know he's excellent when he's on the field, but he can't be relied upon to be on the field. He's old, he's injury-prone, he has a huge contract. And I was trying to tell people he has very little trade value. In fact, as it turns out, he has 0 trade value. None. They will get nothing for Tony Romo, which is kind of along the lines of what I was trying to tell you all along. Now that I've patted myself on the back, sometimes if you don't blow your own horn, there's no music, so occasionally you have to do that.
I do understand.
You're used to that. I will say this. I thought, until now, Houston was the best destination right there in Texas. Stick it to the Cowboys. Warm weather, the whole thing. They need a quarterback. They got a lot of everything else. And maybe Buffalo, as Herm Edwards was saying after that, because their defense should bounce back. They can run the ball. They have some receivers, Watkins especially when he's healthy. I would now say that at Denver, there are too many problems on the offensive line right now. And for an injury-prone quarterback, I would say right now the Chiefs would slot in ahead of Buffalo and below Houston as the second best option. And it says a lot about how highly Romo is thought of around the league when he's on the field. That Alex Smith, good quarterback, but can't really get it down the field. They look and they say, if we could have that guy on the field when we need him, Tony Romo, maybe we could win a Super Bowl. I'd say the Chiefs are right behind Houston.
Yeah, because Alex Smith is good. He's not great. Tony Romo is great. The Kansas City Chiefs are not the best fit for Tony Romo. Not because of some kind of negative attributes of Tony Romo, or even of the Kansas City Chiefs, as you alluded to. It's more exactly as Max said. It's because the Houston Texans are the exact perfect fit for Tony Romo. Kansas City's good. They've got a middle-of-the-pack offensive line, like Houston. They have weapons. Tony Romo, we all know, likes a tight end. He likes to deliver the ball to a tight end. The Kansas City Chiefs have, a top 5, top 3 tight end in the league? Yep. Travis Kelce would possibly be the happiest man in the NFL if Tony Romo made his way to that town. The problem is it's just all perfect in Houston. This is a top defense in the NFL. And as you said, Kansas City, also good defense. But with Clowney on the rise, Watt back, this is a defense that can win a championship. And to put Tom Savage as the leader of that team is almost a travesty. If Tony Romo is the quarterback of the Houston Texans, they are immediately a Super Bowl contender. They are a top 2 AFC team right there behind the Patriots. Smart money would be behind the Houston Texans with Lamar Miller, DeAndre Hopkins, and Tony Romo to go along with that defense. That's where this should happen. And by the way, if it doesn't happen, shame on the Texans. You know, reportedly a few years, Peyton Manning was somewhat interested in the Houston Texans as an option. Instead, he went to Denver. They blew a 3 to 4 year window with also a pretty good team. Instead, stuck with Max Schaub and guys like this. If they do that again, despite their financial situation with Brock Osweiler, shame on them. They've got a coach, a team ready to win. You cannot do it with Savage and Osweiler.
You talked about Travis Kelce. Who's Houston's tight end?
That's a good question. Ryan Griffin?
Yeah, some dude, C.J. Fedorowicz or whatever his name is. He was their tight end last year, along with a couple of other guys that don't particularly move us. So you predicated your argument on the importance of the tight end position. You know what I'm saying? You looked at the Kansas City
He's not
Chiefs.
limited to delivering the ball to the tight end.
Well, he's not. Of course, he's not limited. He's a quarterback. Of course, you can throw the running backs, you can throw the wide receivers, but at the same time, because we're talking about Tony Romo here, and we're talking about an individual that needs to get the ball out of his hands quickly, because that will definitely provoke less hits. Those are the kind of things that you have to take into consideration. I love how you, Will Kane, throw out the word great so easily when it comes to Tony Romo. I'm starting to think that your definition of great is tantamount to Max's. Mediocre equals greatness.
Oh, calm down.
Listen, I've got
I thought you were going to go Brandon Marshall.
Listen, I've got listen, you know how I feel about Brandon Marshall when it comes to quarterbacks. I love him dearly, but when it comes to quarterbacks, there's no credibility whatsoever. He was always
there is a level between good and great. There's like very good or excellent. That's where I put Tony Romo. He ain't great.
Excellent, really, y'all?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Really? I mean, all I'm trying to say to y'all is that I hope y'all are consistent. Because see, I'm going to hold y'all to this. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm saying, excuse me, I'll deal with you in a second. Okay. The point that I'm trying to make to you is that
you make the same point that I've heard 100 times. I'm walking off this set.
Listen, it's exactly
what, accident winnings happen?
No, forget the accident. I wasn't
way
going
off.
But it's a big deal. I'm not even joking right now. I'm like, wait a minute. If this were most others, y'all would sit up there and look at what they did in the postseason. Y'all would say to yourself, okay, I respect what they do during the regular season, but I got to see what they do when it really counts. But that goes out the window when it comes to Tony Romo. I really got a problem with you on that one. You use the word great so loosely. I need you. Forget about Max and his dictionary, to me requiring a dictionary for him. I need it for you right now. Could you please, for the American public, could you please define for us what your definition of greatness is?
I don't know what
is it?
Because he's coming at me with like this kind of inquisitive, nice
I'm just asking a question.
I'm used to you coming and swinging. I swing back. This is our relationship, not this.
I'm tired of knocking you out. I don't want to do that to you. What I'm asking you here is simple.
All right.
What is your definition of greatness?
Look, don't make no mistake. Nice or mean, you come, I come back. I know the answer. Here's the answer. First of all, great. By any statistical category, Tony Romo has been a top 5 quarterback over the past decade. You can line him up and you make a legitimate point. I'm not going to... You can line him up setting aside playoff victories with guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Statistically, fourth quarter comebacks, overall statistics over the last decade. You are right. He doesn't have the playoff victories, but there's a reason for that. It's because football is a team sport. It requires a balanced team to win.
Now it's a team sport.
And he has never had a defense like either of these two teams, by the way, offer. Dallas has never given Tony Romo a defense like Kansas City or especially Houston can offer this year.
Last question
and
for
greatness for you would satisfy very short.
I need to add one more thing first. It goes elite and then it goes great for me.
Good point, Molly.
There's no great. It's great is at the top. It's elite and then great. Elite is Brady.
As long as you know and you're willing to acknowledge that you have your own definition, I'm cool with it.
Good.
All I'm going to ask you to is this. You say all of that stuff. You say all of that stuff about the greatness of Tony Romo and what have you. Tony Romo was the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys for 10 years. 2 playoff victories. That's on the defense. It had nothing to do with Tony Romo in 10 years. None.
Not him being able to hold on to a snap.
Hold on, Max. Don't let Molly Wood off the hook. She wanted to ingratiate herself into the discussion in 10 years.
No,
Tony Romo, he never had anything to do with it.
Of course he contributes to it, but I do think when you look at the crop of all the quarterbacks in the league, they're not growing on trees, and I think why he played, I would consider him a great quarterback. He is not elite. He is not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers, but he is a step below. And he's close to a guy like a Ben Roethlisberger.
A step below with
There you go. Thank you, Molly. And by the way,
Fast Rivers or Tony Romo?
All right. All right.
We're going to break.
And I like that.
Will's hanging
I
with us.
want to work with y'all. I don't have to be great. I know
You
what
have
great
to
is
be
now.
19
I got
years old to put
Friends,
on
Cowboy
an NBA
Jobu here,
uniform.
down in front of Lucky's, where we just spread some bad mojo for Stephen A. Smith. And we have plenty more Dallas Cowboy fans. What's your name, sir? Stefan. And I see you are definitely a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Representing, baby.
Who's your favorite player on the team?
Gotta be Dez, man.
Gotta be this. How do you feel about Dak versus Romo?
It's not even a competition. Dak is the guy. Romo gotta go, man. I'm sorry.
You heard it live. Romo's gotta go. I'm Cowboy Jobu here in front of Lucky's. Back to you in the studio.